The cough tore through me again, rattling my bones like autumn leaves in a storm. I pressed my palm against the wall of our tiny apartment, the peeling wallpaper rough beneath my fingers. 6 days. 6 days of this fever that wouldn't break, of trying to hide how bad it had gotten from Lily, my beautiful, observant 6-year-old, who noticed everything. "Mommy?" Her small voice came from the doorway of our bedroom, really just a curtained alcove in our studio apartment. "Are you okay?" I straightened, forcing a smile. "Of course, baby. Just a little tired." The lie tasted bitter on my tongue, mixing with the metallic tang that worried me more than I'd admit. The kitchen cabinet was empty except for a half package of crackers. The refrigerator held only a single egg, some questionable milk, and condiment packets I'd taken from diners where I'd worked. My last paycheck had gone to rent, and I'd been too sick to make my shift at the diner 3 days in a row. Marla had texted yesterday, "Don't bother coming in anymore, Emma. I needed someone reliable." Reliable. I wanted to laugh. I'd never missed a day until now, working doubles, taking every available shift. But pneumonia doesn't care about your perfect attendance record or the fact that your daughter needs to eat. "I made you tea." Lily stood in her faded pajamas, clutching her favorite chipped mug with the dancing bears. Steam rose from it in lazy curls. My heart cracked open a little wider. "Thank you, sweetheart." I took it, pretending I didn't notice how she watched me with eyes too old for her small face. Eyes that had seen too much hardship already. After Lily finally fell asleep that night, curled against me on our shared mattress, I allowed myself to cry, silent, shaking sobs that wouldn't wake her. The fever made everything shimmer at the edges, reality blurring with delirium. I needed antibiotics I couldn't afford. I needed food for my daughter. I needed a miracle. Morning came in shades of gray, filtering through the thin curtains of our third-floor walk-up. The cough was worse, each breath like dragging air through broken glass. Lily was gone from the bed beside me. Panic sliced through my fever haze. "Lily?" I croaked, struggling to sit up. "I'm right here, Mommy." She appeared in the doorway, already dressed in her favorite jeans and the pink sweater my mother had knitted before cancer took her last year. I made breakfast. On a chipped plate, she'd arranged crackers in the shape of a smiley face. Beside it sat her treasured stuffed bunny, Hoppy, propped up as though joining us for the meal. "That's beautiful, sweetie." The words scraped my raw throat. I forced myself to stand, ignoring the way the room tilted dangerously. "Let's eat together." We shared the crackers, though I insisted she eat most of them. After, I helped her brush her teeth and hair, each movement requiring concentration through my fever fog. "Mommy needs to rest today," I told her, setting up her few toys by the couch. "Can you be my big helper and play quietly?" She nodded solemnly. "I'll take care of you," she promised. I must have fallen asleep. The apartment was silent when I woke, the light different. Panic surged through me when I realized Lily wasn't beside me. "Lily?" My voice broke on her name. No answer. I struggled to my feet, the room spinning. "Lily." Louder this time, fear giving me strength. I checked the bathroom, the kitchen area, even looked under the bed. Her pink backpack was gone, and so was her bicycle, the second-hand blue Schwinn I'd saved for months to buy for her birthday. The realization hit me like a physical blow. She'd gone out. Alone. Into the streets of a neighborhood no 6-year-old should navigate by herself. I grabbed my coat, not bothering with shoes beyond the worn slippers on my feet. The fever made the stairwell tilt and sway as I rushed down 3 flights, each breath a stabbing pain. Outside, the November air hit my fevered skin like ice water. "Lily!" I called, looking frantically up and down the street. Our neighborhood wasn't the worst in the city, but it wasn't safe either, especially not for a little girl alone. I spotted her 5 blocks down, standing on the corner near the bodega, her small hands gripping the handlebars of her beloved bike. A cardboard sign hung from the handlebars, written in her careful printing, "Bike for sale. My mommy is sick and hungry." My heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Before I could call out, a gleaming black SUV pulled to the curb beside her. The windows were tinted dark as night, hiding whoever was inside. The rear door opened, and a man stepped out. Even in my fever-addled state, I knew instantly he didn't belong in our neighborhood. His coat alone probably cost more than 6 months of our rent. Tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair cut close at the sides, he moved with the easy confidence of someone accustomed to power. When he turned slightly, I caught the glint of something gold at his wrist, the crisp lines of what was undoubtedly a tailored suit beneath his open coat. He was speaking to Lily, my daughter, my cautious, shy daughter who knew better than to talk to strangers, was looking up at him and nodding. I saw her small hands gesture toward our apartment building, then point at the bicycle. I forced my leaden legs to move, to run. "Lily!" The word tore from my raw throat. She turned, her face lighting up. "Mommy, this nice man wants to help us." I reached them, grabbing Lily and pulling her against me, away from the stranger. Up close, I could see more details of the man. The expensive watch confirming my suspicions, the subtle scent of sandalwood and something distinctly masculine, the way his dark eyes assessed me with unsettling intensity. Behind him, I noticed another man standing beside the SUV, his posture alert, one hand inside his jacket in a way that made my instincts scream danger. "Your daughter was trying to sell her bicycle," the man said, his voice deep and smooth as aged whiskey. "She says you're sick." I pulled Lily closer, suddenly aware of how I must look. Pale, feverish, in pajamas and a coat, wearing slippers on the street. "We're fine," I lied, the words triggering another coughing fit that left me gasping. One dark eyebrow rose. "Clearly." I felt Lily squirm against me. "Mommy, I was trying to help." Like in the story where the girl sells her hair to buy a watch chain, the man's expression changed, something flashing across his features too quickly to identify. He crouched down to Lily's eye level, though still maintaining a respectful distance. "That's from The Gift of the Magi," he said, surprising me. "It's a beautiful story about sacrifice. Your mother is lucky to have someone who loves her so much." The way he said it, with genuine warmth, made something inside me shift uneasily. Men who looked like him, who had what he had, didn't stop for little girls selling bicycles in neighborhoods like ours. They certainly didn't reference O. Henry stories. He straightened, reaching into his coat. I tensed, instinctively shielding Lily, but he only withdrew a wallet. "I'd like to buy the bicycle," he said, extracting several crisp $100 bills. My eyes widened. The bike had been $30 secondhand. "That's too much," I managed, another cough threatening. "I disagree." His gaze was direct, penetrating. "I think it's worth every penny." Before I could protest further, Lily piped up. "What's your name?" I tensed, but the man just smiled, a surprisingly gentle expression on his otherwise intimidating face. "My friends call me Alex," he said, then added more softly, "and I'd like to be your friend if that's okay." A sleek black sedan pulled up behind the SUV, and another man in a suit emerged, nodding respectfully toward Alex before opening the rear passenger door. "This car will take you both to the hospital," Alex said, his tone making it clear this wasn't a suggestion. "My family doctor is waiting there. After, the driver will bring you home." Panic flared again. "We can't accept." "You can, and you will." His voice hardened slightly, though his expression remained concerned. "Your daughter went to extraordinary lengths to get help. Don't let pride make her effort meaningless." I swayed slightly, the fever making it difficult to think clearly. The thought of a doctor, of medicine that might actually help, was too tempting to resist. "Why?" I whispered. "Why would you do this?" Something passed through his dark eyes, something old and sad and fierce all at once. "Let's just say I recognize desperation when I see it." He handed the money to Lily, who took it with wide eyes. "This is for the bike, but I expect you to keep it for now. When your mom is better, I'll come collect it." He smiled at her. "Deal?" She nodded solemnly. "Deal." The driver was suddenly beside us, gently guiding me toward the waiting sedan. I was too weak to resist, Lily following close behind. As we settled into the luxurious leather seats, I caught one last glimpse of Alex through the window. He was watching us, his expression unreadable. The man who had been standing guard bent to whisper something in his ear, and Alex's face transformed, hardening into something cold and dangerous that sent a chill through me despite my fever. The sedan pulled away smoothly. Lily nestled against my side, clutching the money like it might disappear. "He was nice, Mommy," she whispered. I didn't answer, staring out the window as the city slid past in a fever blur. I couldn't shake the feeling that in my desperate need for help, I'd made a terrible mistake, that accepting kindness from a man like Alexander might come with a price I couldn't afford to pay, and as the sedan glided toward the hospital, I couldn't have known how right I was. The next 3 days passed in a medicated haze. The private room at St. Vincent's Hospital was larger than our entire apartment, with windows overlooking the river and amenities I'd only seen in magazines. Every time I questioned the arrangements, the nurses smiled politely and assured me everything had been taken care of. Dr. Winters, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, confirmed my self-diagnosis: pneumonia, severe enough that I should have been hospitalized days ago. "You were quite lucky," she told me on the morning of my discharge, reviewing my chart. "Another day or two." She let the sentence hang unfinished. Luck had nothing to do with it. The mystery benefactor, Alex, had arranged everything. Private room, specialists, even a hospital social worker who'd helped secure emergency food assistance and an extension on our rent. No one would tell me his last name or how to contact him. When I'd asked the stone-faced driver who'd brought fresh clothes for both Lily and me, he'd simply said, "Mr. Alexander will contact you if he wishes." The same driver waited for us outside the hospital entrance, holding open the door of now familiar black sedan. Lily bounded in with the easy adaptability of childhood, but I hesitated, scanning the street, half expecting to see the imposing figure who'd rescued us. "He's not here, ma'am," the driver said, reading my thoughts. Business matters required his attention elsewhere. I settled into the leather seat beside Lily, relieved and disappointed in equal measure. "Do you work for him full-time?" I asked carefully as we pulled away from the curb. The driver's eyes met mine briefly in the rearview mirror. "Yes, ma'am. For 12 years now." "And what exactly does he do?" His expression remained impassive. "Mr. Alexander has diverse business interests." Of course. A non-answer. I'd expected nothing less. When we arrived at our apartment building, I was stunned to find the driver carrying several grocery bags up the 3 flights of stairs. "Mr. Alexander's instructions," was his only explanation. I unlocked our door, then froze on the threshold. Our apartment had been transformed. The peeling wallpaper had been replaced. New curtains hung at the windows. The sagging couch was gone, replaced by a modest but clearly new sofa. The kitchen gleamed with clean counters and, I gasped, a full-sized refrigerator where our mini-fridge had been. "What? How?" I stammered, while Lily rushed past me with delighted squeals, discovering a new bookshelf filled with children's books and a proper bed in our alcove where the mattress had been. The driver began unpacking groceries into the refrigerator and cupboards. "Mr. Alexander has taken an interest in your situation," he said, his tone neutral. "He asked that these improvements be made during your hospital stay." "I can't accept all this," I protested weakly, even as Lily hugged a brand new stuffed unicorn to her chest, her eyes shining. The driver finished his task and turned to me. For the first time, his professional mask slipped, revealing something almost like compassion. "Mrs. Collins," he said, using the name I'd given at the hospital. "In my experience, it's unwise to refuse Mr. Alexander's generosity. He is not a man accustomed to rejection." A chill ran through me despite the apartment's improved heating. "And what does he expect in return?" The driver's expression closed again. "That's between you and him. This is for you." He handed me an expensive-looking smartphone. "Mr. Alexander will contact you on this device." After he left, I sat on the new sofa, the phone heavy in my hand. Lily was busy arranging her new toys, chattering happily about the magic that had happened while we were gone. I should have been grateful. I was grateful. But beneath the gratitude swirled darker emotions: suspicion, fear, and something else I couldn't name. What kind of man did all this for strangers? Men like him, wealthy, powerful, didn't give without expecting something in return. The phone rang 3 days later. I'd just returned from my first day back at a new job, not at the diner where I'd been fired. but at an upscale cafe across town. The owner had called out of the blue, saying they had an opening for an experienced waitress with references from a mutual acquaintance. I didn't need to ask who that acquaintance was. Lily was at our neighbor Mrs. Petrova's apartment, where she went after school until I got home. The new phone's sleek surface lit up with an incoming call from unknown. My hand trembled slightly as I answered. Hello? Emma. His voice was exactly as I remembered, deep, confident, with the faintest trace of an accent I couldn't place. How are you feeling? Better, I said cautiously. Thank you for everything. It's too much. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. A soft chuckle. I'm not concerned about repayment. I understand your first day at Café Laurent went well? My spine stiffened. He'd been keeping tabs on me. How did you? I like to stay informed about my investments. He interrupted smoothly. The owner speaks highly of you already. I'm not an investment, I said, surprising myself with my boldness. A pause. No, he agreed finally. You're not. Another pause. I'd like to see you and Lily again, to check on your progress personally. It wasn't really a request. The memory of his face when the guard had whispered something to him flashed through my mind. That cold, dangerous expression that had warned me exactly what kind of man he might be. When? I asked, resignation in my voice. Tonight. I'll send a car at 7. I can't leave Lily alone, I protested. Bring her, he said simply. We'll have dinner. She can see her bicycle. So he had taken it after all. I'd wondered. Fine, I agreed, seeing little choice. 7 o'clock. The line went dead. I stood in our transformed apartment, feeling like I was balancing on a knife's edge. Part of me wanted to pack what we could carry and disappear, but where would we go? Back to the life where my daughter had to try selling her bicycle to feed us. Where pneumonia nearly killed me because I couldn't afford a doctor. The car arrived precisely at 7. Lily was ecstatic about the adventure, dressed in a new outfit that had mysteriously appeared in our closet, a pretty blue dress that fit her perfectly. I wore the only decent outfit I owned, suddenly conscious of how shabby it would look wherever we were going. The driver, a different one this time, took us across the river to a part of the city I rarely visited. The buildings grew more impressive, the streets cleaner. Finally, we pulled up to a sleek high-rise with uniformed security at the entrance. Mr. Alexander's private residence, the driver explained, opening our door. A doorman escorted us to a private elevator that required a keycard to operate. As we ascended to the penthouse level, Lily clutched my hand, her earlier excitement giving way to shyness. The elevator opened directly into a breathtaking apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the glittering city below, and sophisticated furnishings in shades of gray, black, and deep blue created an atmosphere of masculine elegance. And there he was, standing by the windows, his broad silhouette outlined against the city lights. He turned as we entered, and I was struck again by his commanding presence. In dark trousers and a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled to expose strong forearms, he looked both more casual and somehow more intimidating than our first meeting. Emma, he said, crossing the room with fluid grace. Lily. He crouched down to my daughter's level. I'm glad you're feeling better. Lily, normally so shy with strangers, beamed at him. Our apartment is magic now, she announced. And Mommy's not sick anymore. Something like satisfaction crossed his features. Excellent news. He straightened, his dark eyes finding mine. You look well. I felt heat rise to my cheeks under his scrutiny. Thanks to you, I admitted. A slight nod acknowledged my gratitude. Dinner is ready, but first. He turned to Lily. I believe I owe you a bicycle inspection. Her face lit up. You have my bike? Indeed. This way. We followed him through the expansive apartment to a room that appeared to be a home office. There, gleaming as if brand new, was Lily's blue Schwinn, except it wasn't exactly as I remembered. The paint was fresher, the seat reupholstered, and it sported new handlebars with pink grips. You fixed it, Lily breathed, approaching it reverently. Just a few improvements, Alex said, watching her with an expression I couldn't decipher. It's still your bicycle. I've just been borrowing it as agreed. Lily ran her small hand along the frame, then looked up at him with absolute trust. Thank you for making it pretty again. Something flickered across his face. Vulnerability. So brief I might have imagined it. Dinner is getting cold, he said abruptly, turning away. We followed him to a dining room where an elegant table was set for 3. A man in what appeared to be a chef's uniform served us roast chicken for the adults, chicken fingers for Lily that looked far too gourmet to be called such. Throughout the meal, Alex asked Lily questions about school and her favorite books, listening to her answers with genuine interest. When Lily began to yawn, a woman appeared as if summoned by telepathy. "This is Ms. Chen," Alex explained. "She can show Lily to the entertainment room where she can rest on the sofa and watch a movie while we talk." I hesitated, maternal instinct flaring. "The door will remain open," he added, correctly reading my concern. "She'll be within earshot." After Lily had gone with the soft-spoken Ms. Chen, Alex led me to a sitting area near the windows. A bottle of wine waited on a side table. He poured 2 glasses and handed me one. "Why are you doing all this?" I asked finally, the question that had been burning inside me for days. He took a measured sip of his wine before answering. "Your daughter reminds me of someone I once knew." "Who?" His jaw tightened. "My sister. She would have been about your age now." The past tense wasn't lost on me. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. He shrugged, the gesture at odds with the emotion I'd glimpsed. "It was a long time ago. That doesn't explain the apartment, the job, all of it." Alex set down his glass, studying me with those penetrating dark eyes. "When I saw your daughter trying to sell her most prized possession to help you, it affected me." "So this is charity?" The words came out more sharply than I intended. His expression hardened. "I don't do charity, Emma. Everything I've done for you and Lily serves my interests as well. How could helping us possibly serve your interests?" A dangerous smile curved his lips. "Perhaps I enjoy feeling like the hero for once instead of..." He trailed off, something dark crossing his features. "Instead of what?" I pressed. The smile vanished. "Instead of what I am." He leaned forward, intensity radiating from him. "Tell me about Lily's father." The abrupt change of subject threw me. "He's not in the picture," I said carefully. "I gathered that. What happened to him?" I stared into my wine glass, debating how much to reveal. "Jason left when I told him I was pregnant. Cleaned out our joint account on his way out." Alex's expression turned cold as ice. "What's his full name?" A shiver ran down my spine at his tone. "Why do you want to know?" "Humor me." "Jason Mercer," I said reluctantly. "But it doesn't matter. He's long gone." Alex's fingers tapped a slow rhythm on the arm of his chair. "Did he ever provide any support for Lily?" I laughed bitterly. "Not a penny. He made it clear he wanted nothing to do with either of us." Something dangerous flickered in Alex's eyes. "That's unfortunate for him." Before I could ask what he meant, a man appeared at the entrance to the room. The same guard-like figure I'd seen during our first meeting. He gave a slight nod to Alex, who immediately stood. "Excuse me for a moment," he said, following the man out of the room. Left alone, I moved to the massive windows, gazing out at the city spread below like a blanket of stars. How had my life changed so dramatically in less than a week? From desperate illness and poverty to dining in a penthouse with a man who renovated our apartment on a whim. A man who asked pointed questions about my ex. A man who traveled with guards and spoke in veiled threats. I heard his footsteps returning and turned. His expression had changed, that same cold, lethal look I'd glimpsed on the street when we first met. "Is everything all right?" I asked. He composed his features quickly. "Just business. Nothing for you to worry about." But there was something in his tone that made me think it very much concerned me. "We should get Lily home," I said, suddenly needing to escape the penthouse and the intensity of his presence. "It's a school night." He nodded, though I could see reluctance in his eyes. "Of course. The car is waiting." As we collected a sleepy Lily, Alex crouched down to her level again. "Your bicycle will stay here for now," he told her. "So you have a reason to visit again." She smiled drowsily. "Okay. I like it here. It's like a castle in the sky." His expression softened in a way it never did when looking at me. "You're welcome in this castle any time, Princess Lily." At the elevator, he stopped me with a light touch on my arm. Emma, there's something I need to tell you. My pulse quickened. What is it? His dark eyes searched mine. The man who left you and Lily, Jason Mercer. He's back in the city. Ice flooded my veins. How do you know that? I have resources, he said simply. He returned 3 weeks ago, and he's been asking questions about you. Fear and anger warred within me. What kind of questions? The kind that suggest he's learned you might have come into some money. His jaw tightened. The kind that suggest he suddenly wants to be a father after all. The elevator arrived with a soft chime, but I barely registered it. Jason was back? After 6 years of silence? Listen to me carefully, Alex said, his voice low and intense. If he contacts you, call me immediately. Don't speak to him. Don't let him near Lily. I nodded numbly, my mind racing. Emma, he said, tilting my chin up gently, forcing me to meet his gaze. I protect what's mine. Remember that. The possessive statement should have alarmed me, but in that moment, with the threat of Jason hanging over us, it felt like a shield instead of a cage. As the elevator doors closed between us, the last thing I saw was Alex's face, determined, dangerous, and somehow the safest thing in my suddenly precarious world. 2 weeks passed in a strange new routine. Each morning, I walked Lily to school before heading to Café Laurent, where I earned more in tips during one shift than I'd made in 3 at my old diner. Each night, we returned to our renovated apartment, no longer afraid of the heating bill or running out of food. Alex called every evening at 8 o'clock, precisely when Lily was getting ready for bed. He would speak to her first, asking about school, listening to her stories, then to me. Our conversations were brief, careful, circling around topics like my day at work or Lily's progress at school. He never mentioned Jason again, though the warning hung between us like a storm cloud. I hadn't seen or heard from my ex, but I found myself looking over my shoulder, scanning faces on the street. The unfamiliar feeling of safety Alex had provided was now tainted with the knowledge that Jason was back, possibly hunting for what he thought I had. Friday evening, I was helping Lily with homework when someone knocked on our door. My heart jumped to my throat. Alex always called before sending anyone. Mrs. Petrova from next door always announced herself with a distinctive 3-tap pattern. I approached cautiously. Who is it? Emma, it's me, Jason. The voice I hadn't heard in 6 years. My body went cold. Lily looked up from her math worksheet, confused by my sudden tension. Go to your room, baby, I whispered. Close the door. She hesitated, sensing danger, then obeyed. I waited until I heard her door click shut before approaching our entrance. What do you want? I called through the door, not unlocking it. Jesus, Emma, I just want to talk. Open the door. His voice had that familiar cajoling tone, the one he'd used when trying to convince me his latest scheme was a sure thing, when explaining away missing money or late nights. There's nothing to talk about. Go away before I call the police. A pause. Then his voice hardened. I have rights, you know. She's my daughter, too. Fury blazed through me. Rights? You gave up any rights when you emptied our bank account and disappeared for 6 years. I was messed up back then. I've changed. He lowered his voice, sounding almost sincere. I just want to meet her. She deserves to know her father. My hand instinctively reached for the phone Alex had given me. I should call him, as he'd instructed. But what would happen then? What would Alex do? Emma, I know you've come into some money, Jason continued. People are talking. New job, fixed up apartment. I'm just saying, if you're doing better now, maybe we could work something out, for Lily's sake. The naked greed in his voice made me sick. Before I could respond, my phone vibrated with a text message. I glanced down. Don't open the door. Security is on the way. A chill ran through me. How did he know? Were we being watched? I'm not opening the door, Jason, I said firmly. And if you don't leave immediately, I'm calling the police. Don't be like that, Emma. His voice took on an ugly edge. We both know you won't call the cops. You never did before. Old shame and fear washed through me. He was right. I'd never reported the times his temper had turned physical, the accidents that left bruises I had to hide from coworkers. That was before Lily, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I'll do whatever it takes to protect her from you." "You bitch," he hissed, all pretense of reconciliation gone. "You think you can keep my kid from me? I'll take you to court. The sudden silence confused me until I heard other voices in the hallway. Deep, authoritative male voices, then retreating footsteps, followed by a sharp knock on my door. "Ms. Collins, security. Your visitor has been escorted from the building." I sagged against the wall, relief making my knees weak. When I opened the door, 2 men in suits stood in the hallway. I recognized one as the guard from the SUV, the day Alex had found Lily with her bicycle. "Thank you," I managed. The guard nodded. "Mr. Alexander sends his regards. He asked us to remain in the building tonight, for your peace of mind." After they left, I sank onto the sofa, my hands trembling. The phone rang almost immediately. "Are you all right?" Alex's voice was tight with tension. "Yes, how did you—" "I told you I protect what's mine," he interrupted. "The building has security cameras now. I was alerted when he entered." The possessive statement registered more strongly this time. "I'm not yours, Alex," I said quietly. A pause. "No," he agreed finally. "But your safety is my concern nonetheless." His voice softened slightly. "Is Lily okay?" "She didn't see him. I sent her to her room." "Good." He exhaled. "This changes things. He's more persistent than I anticipated." A chill ran through me. "What does that mean?" "It means you need better protection." He was all business now. "I'm sending a car for you both tomorrow morning at 9. Pack for a weekend." "Wait, what? We can't just—" "Emma," the way he said my name, firm but with an undercurrent of genuine concern, stopped my protest. "Trust me. Please." After everything he'd done for us, did I have a choice? "All right," I agreed reluctantly. 9 o'clock. The car that arrived the next morning wasn't the usual sedan, but a larger SUV with tinted windows. The driver loaded our overnight bags while I helped Lily into her booster seat, still wondering if I was making a terrible mistake. "Where are we going, Mommy?" Lily asked as we pulled away from the curb. "Mr. Alexander has invited us to stay at his house in the country for the weekend," I explained, the words feeling surreal as they left my mouth. Her eyes lit up. "Like a vacation?" "Something like that," I said, forcing a smile. We drove for nearly 2 hours, leaving the city far behind. Gradually, urban sprawl gave way to affluent suburbs, then to stretches of countryside dotted with estates hidden behind security gates and dense trees. Finally, we turned onto a private road that wound through manicured grounds toward a house that could only be described as a mansion. Built of gray stone with large windows that caught the morning light, it sprawled elegantly across a rise overlooking manicured lawns and gardens. A fountain played in the circular drive where our SUV came to a stop. Alex waited at the entrance, dressed more casually than I'd seen him before in dark jeans and a gray sweater that did nothing to diminish his imposing presence. As we approached, I noticed 2 men patrolling the perimeter of the property, their alert posture unmistakably security. "Welcome," Alex said, his eyes warming slightly as they moved from me to Lily. "I hope the drive wasn't too long." "Your house is enormous," Lily exclaimed, abandoning her usual shyness in the face of such splendor. A smile tugged at his mouth. "It is rather large for one person," he agreed. "Perhaps you can help me make better use of it this weekend." He led us inside to a soaring entryway with a sweeping staircase and floors of polished marble. Unlike the sleek modernity of his penthouse, this home had a timeless, old-world elegance. Fine antiques mixed with comfortable furnishings, fresh flowers arranged in crystal vases. "Mrs. Reynolds will show you to your rooms," he said, indicating an older woman with a kind face who had appeared silently beside us. "Lunch will be served on the terrace at noon, if that suits you." "That's fine," I said, still overwhelmed by our surroundings. "Thank you for this." His expression turned serious. "We need to talk, Emma. But first, get settled." "Lily," he added, crouching to her level. "There's a surprise for you in the garden after lunch." Her face lit up. "What kind of surprise?" "The kind that would no longer be a surprise if I told you," he replied gravely, though his eyes crinkled at the corners. Mrs. Reynolds showed us to adjoining rooms on the second floor, each larger than our entire apartment. Lily's room had clearly been prepared with her in mind, The bed covered in a pink and white comforter, a shelf with children's books, and even a small table with art supplies. My own room was elegant in shades of blue and cream, with a sitting area and a bathroom that featured a tub I could actually stretch out in. Mr. Alexander hoped these accommodations would be suitable, Mrs. Reynolds said, watching my stunned expression with a small smile. He was quite specific about the preparations for Miss Lily. It's more than suitable, I managed. Thank you. After she left, I sank onto the edge of the impossibly soft bed, trying to process how completely my life had changed in just 3 weeks. From nearly dying of pneumonia in our rundown apartment, to being a guest in a mansion with staff and security guards, all because a dangerous, powerful man had taken an interest in us. A man who considered us his to protect. A man who might be every bit as possessive and controlling as Jason had been, just with infinitely more resources. I shivered, remembering the cold look in Alex's eyes when he spoke of Jason. What exactly was I inviting into our lives? Lunch on the terrace was a casual affair by Alex's standards, though the food was exquisitely prepared. He kept the conversation light, focusing mainly on Lily, drawing her out with questions about school and her interests. By dessert, she was chattering freely, her initial awe of the grand house giving way to childish enthusiasm. As promised, after lunch came Lily's surprise, a beautiful white pony with a braided mane, led by a stable hand across the immaculate lawn. Her name is Snowdrop, Alex told my wide-eyed daughter, and she's very gentle with beginners. Can I really ride her? Lily whispered, seemingly afraid that speaking too loudly might make the magical creature disappear. Of course. Miguel will teach you. He's taught many children to ride. As the kind-faced stable manager helped Lily onto the pony's back, I turned to Alex. You have stables? And staff who teach riding lessons? I asked, incredulous. He shrugged, watching Lily's delight as Miguel led the pony in a gentle circle. The stables were my mother's project. After she died, I kept them running in her memory. His voice softened. She believed every child should learn to ride. The glimpse into his past caught me off guard. You grew up here? He nodded, something distant entering his expression. This was my family home. He turned to me, changing the subject abruptly. While Lily is occupied, we should talk. He led me to a stone bench beneath a maple tree, positioned so we could still watch Lily's riding lesson while having some privacy. Jason Mercer is becoming a problem, he said without preamble. I tensed. What do you mean? Has he done something else? Alex's expression hardened. He's been making inquiries about me, about my businesses, about my connection to you. How would he even know about you? People talk. Your new job, the renovations to your apartment. Someone noticed. And Mercer has been asking questions. Anxiety coiled in my stomach. What kind of businesses would make him interested in you? Alex studied me for a long moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. I own legitimate enterprises. Real estate, import, export, hospitality, but my family's original wealth came from less conventional sources. My throat went dry. You're telling me you're what? A criminal? A dangerous smile curved his lips. I'm telling you I have connections that make men like Jason Mercer very nervous. His eyes never left mine. And that I won't allow him to threaten you or Lily. The implications hung in the air between us. I don't want anyone hurt because of us, I said carefully. Even the man who abandoned his pregnant girlfriend? Who stole your money? Who would use his own daughter as leverage to get to what he thinks you have? Put like that, my moral qualms seemed almost naive. What exactly are you proposing? I asked. Let me handle Jason permanently. His voice was calm, as if discussing the weather, rather than what sounded disturbingly like a threat. By handle, you mean, I mean ensure he never bothers you again. Seeing my expression, he added, There are many ways to accomplish that, Emma. Not all involve violence. I watched Lily's face light up with laughter as her pony trotted in a circle. And what would you want in return? Alex's gaze followed mine to Lily, his expression softening. She deserves safety, security, a future without fear. That doesn't answer my question. He turned back to me, dark eyes intense. Stay. Both of you. Here. where I can protect you. Block 4. The words hung in the air between us. Stay here? In this mansion? With him? That's impossible, I said finally. We have a life in the city. Lily has school. I have my job. There's an excellent private school 20 minutes from here, Alex interrupted smoothly. As for your job, you wouldn't need to work. I stiffened. I'm not looking for a sugar daddy, Alex. Something flashed in his eyes, anger, perhaps, or surprise at my bluntness. That's not what I'm offering. Then what exactly are you offering? Because from where I'm sitting, it sounds like you want to keep us like pets. His jaw tightened. Is that what you think of me? That I see you as some sort of plaything? The intensity in his voice made me regret my words. I don't know what to think, I admitted. 3 weeks ago you were a stranger. Now you want us to move in with you? It's too fast, too much. Alex leaned back, his expression carefully controlled. You're right. I'm moving too quickly. He glanced toward Lily, who was now feeding Snowdrop a carrot under Miguel's watchful eye. But my concern for your safety is real. Jason Mercer is not a man who gives up easily when he thinks there's money to be had. How do you know so much about him? A grim smile touched his lips. I make it my business to know everything about potential threats. The casual way he said it sent a chill down my spine. What exactly did you find out? Your ex has a gambling problem and owes money to some very unpleasant people. He's desperate, which makes him dangerous. Alex's eyes met mine. I can make his debts disappear. Why would you do that? Because then he'd owe me instead, and I can ensure he understands the consequences of bothering you again. I wrapped my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the warm afternoon. You make it sound so simple. It is simple, he said. But I understand your hesitation. Stay the weekend, as planned. Consider my offer. No pressure. No decisions required today. Before I could respond, Lily came running across the lawn toward us, her face flushed with excitement. Mommy, I rode a real horse. Did you see me? I forced a smile. I did, baby. You were amazing. Alex rose smoothly. Perhaps tomorrow, if your mother agrees, we can go for a longer ride around the property. Lily's eyes widened with delight. Can we, Mommy? Please? Looking at her happiness, I found it impossible to refuse. We'll see, I hedged. Excellent, Alex said, his hand briefly touching my shoulder. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some business to attend to. Mrs. Reynolds will be available if you need anything. Feel free to explore the grounds. The gardens are particularly nice this time of year. As he walked away, I watched his retreating figure with a mixture of gratitude and unease. Every interaction with Alex left me more confused about his intentions and my own feelings. The afternoon passed pleasantly enough. Lily and I explored the formal gardens, discovering a maze of hedges that delighted her, and a greenhouse filled with exotic flowers. Mrs. Reynolds served us tea on the terrace, complete with tiny sandwiches and cookies that made Lily feel like she was having a princess party. By dinner time, Alex had not reappeared. Mrs. Reynolds informed us he'd been delayed by business matters and suggested we dine without him. The meal was served in a smaller, cozier dining room than the formal one we'd glimpsed on our tour, but the food was still excellent. After, Mrs. Reynolds helped me tuck an exhausted Lily into bed. She's a lovely child, the housekeeper said softly as we closed Lily's door. Reminds me a bit of Miss Isabella at that age. Isabella? I asked. A shadow crossed the older woman's face. Mr. Alexander's sister. I've been with the family since they were children. What happened to her? I ventured, sensing an opening to learn more about Alex's past. Mrs. Reynolds hesitated. It's not my place to speak of family matters, Miss Collins. Please, I said. Alex mentioned she reminded him of Lily, but he wouldn't say more. The housekeeper's weathered face softened. It was a tragedy. Miss Isabella was only 16. She glanced toward the hallway, lowering her voice. There was a kidnapping attempt. Mr. Alexander was 22, just starting to take over the family business from his father. The ransom drop went wrong. She shook her head sadly. He's never forgiven himself, though it wasn't his fault. The The pieces clicked into place. Alex's protectiveness, his extreme reaction to finding Lily selling her bicycle, his security measures. "Thank you for telling me," I said quietly. She nodded, her expression serious. "Mr. Alexander is a good man, Ms. Collins. He can seem intimidating, but he protects those he cares about with his life." After she left, I wandered through the quiet house, eventually finding my way to a library with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves and leather armchairs. I selected a novel and settled in, but my thoughts kept returning to what Mrs. Reynolds had revealed. The loss of his sister explained so much about Alex's behavior. The extreme protectiveness, the resources devoted to our safety. I must have dozed off in the comfortable chair because I woke to the soft clink of glass. Alex stood at a sideboard across the room, pouring amber liquid into a crystal tumbler. "I'm sorry," I said, straightening. "I didn't mean to fall asleep in your library." "It's fine," he replied, his voice sounding tired. "The library is meant to be used, not just admired." He approached, offering me a second glass. "Cognac?" I accepted it, mainly to be polite. "Thank you." He settled into the chair opposite mine, his usual imposing energy somewhat dimmed. For the first time, I noticed the faint shadows under his eyes, the slight tension around his mouth. "Difficult business meeting?" I asked, taking a small sip of the expensive liquor. A humorless smile touched his lips. "You could say that." "Mrs. Reynolds told me about your sister," I said, the words escaping before I could reconsider. His entire body tensed, the glass freezing halfway to his lips. "Did she?" It wasn't a question, but a flat statement edged with warning. "I'm sorry for your loss," I continued softly. "I can't imagine how painful that must have been." He set the glass down carefully, too carefully. "It was a long time ago. Is that why you helped us? Because Lily reminds you of Isabella?" His dark eyes met mine, partly. "But that's not the only reason. What are the other reasons?" He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, studying me with an intensity that made my pulse quicken. "From the moment I saw you on that street, feverish in pajamas and slippers, ready to fight a stranger twice your size to protect your daughter, I knew you were extraordinary. Heat rose to my cheeks. I was just being a mother." "No," he said firmly. "Many mothers would have accepted defeat, would have given up long before reaching that point. You never did." His voice softened. "Your strength, your determination to protect Lily at any cost. It's rare, Emma, and immensely valuable." I swallowed hard, unaccustomed to such praise. "Any mother would do the same. We both know that's not true." He picked up his glass again, taking a measured sip. "My own mother looked the other way, while my father built his empire through fear and violence. She chose comfort over conscience, security over safety. And you?" I asked quietly. "Which did you choose?" A shadow passed over his face. "I chose power. After Isabella died, I took control of my father's organization and transformed it, made it legitimate, mostly." "Mostly," I repeated, the word hanging between us. He met my gaze unflinchingly. "The world isn't black and white, Emma. I do what needs to be done to protect what matters to me. And we matter to you. Again, not a question." "Yes." Simple, direct, leaving no room for misinterpretation. I took another sip of cognac, letting its warmth spread through me. "I appreciate everything you've done for us, Alex. But I can't just uproot Lily's life on a moment's notice." "I understand," he said, surprising me with his easy acceptance. "Stay the weekend, as planned. After that, I'll arrange for additional security at your apartment until we find a more permanent solution." The tension that had been building inside me eased slightly. "Thank you." We sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the only sound the ticking of an antique clock and the occasional crackle from the fireplace. "Tell me about your family," Alex said finally. "You mentioned your mother died last year?" I nodded, the familiar ache of loss resurfacing. "Cancer. She fought for almost 2 years, but..." I shrugged helplessly. "She was all the family I had left, besides Lily. My father left when I was young. I barely remember him. So you understand abandonment firsthand." "Yes," I admitted. "Maybe that's why I tried so hard to make it work with Jason. even when I knew he was bad news. I didn't want Lily growing up without a father like I did. And yet you've raised an extraordinary child on your own, Alex observed. She's bright, kind, brave, all your influence. Pride warmed me. She makes it easy. She's always been special. Alex's expression softened. Yes, she has. He hesitated, then added, My offer stands, Emma, not just for the weekend, but for as long as you want it. Both of you would be safe here. And what would I be to you? I asked, the question that had been circling my mind finally finding voice. Your charity case? Your guest? Something darkened in his eyes. Is it so difficult to believe I might simply want you in my life? People like you don't just want people like me in their lives without a reason, I countered. People like me, he repeated, an edge entering his voice. And what kind of person am I, Emma? I met his gaze steadily. Powerful, dangerous, used to getting what you want. A smile curved his lips, though it didn't reach his eyes. All true, but incomplete. Then complete it for me. He set his glass down and rose, crossing the space between us in 2 fluid strides. Before I could react, he was kneeling before my chair, his face level with mine, close enough that I could smell the cognac on his breath, and the subtle cologne that had become familiar to me. I am also a man who recognizes something precious when he finds it, he said, his voice low and intense. A man who has spent his life surrounded by people who want something from him. Money, power, protection, never simply him. My heart hammered against my ribs. And that's what you think I want? Just you? No, he said, surprising me. You don't want anything from me except safety for Lily. That's what makes you different, Emma. That's what makes you valuable beyond price. Without warning, his hand came up to cup my cheek, the touch surprisingly gentle from someone so formidable. Stay, he whispered, not as my guest or my charity case. Stay because I want to know what it's like to have someone in my life who sees me as a man, not a means to an end. I should have pulled away, should have reminded him of the vast differences between us, the danger inherent in his world. Instead, I found myself leaning into his touch, my eyes closing briefly as his thumb traced the curve of my cheekbone. I need time, I whispered. Time you shall have, he promised, his hand dropping away. All I ask is that you consider it. He rose smoothly, stepping back to a more appropriate distance. It's late. We should both get some rest. As if summoned by magic, Mrs. Reynolds appeared in the doorway. Shall I show Miss Collins to her room, sir? Alex nodded, his expression once again composed. Good night, Emma. Good night, I replied, following the housekeeper from the room, my skin still tingling from his touch, my mind a whirlwind of confusion. What had begun as a simple act of charity, a man helping a sick woman and her child, had evolved into something far more complex and dangerous, something that made my heart race and my better judgment falter. And as I slipped into bed in the luxurious guest room, I couldn't deny that despite all my reservations, a part of me wanted to say yes to his offer, wanted to step into the protection of his world, dangerous as it might be. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains and the distant sound of Lily's laughter. For a moment, I lay disoriented, the events of the previous day flooding back. The mansion, Alex's offer, that moment in the library when his hand had touched my face with such unexpected gentleness. Following the sound of Lily's voice, I found her on the terrace with Alex. They sat at the breakfast table, my daughter animatedly describing her school art project while he listened with genuine interest. The scene was so domestic, so normal, it made my chest ache with longing for what we'd never had, a family, whole and secure. Good morning, Alex said, rising as he spotted me. Coffee? Please, I replied, taking the seat beside Lily. You're up early, sweetie. She grinned, chocolate smeared at the corner of her mouth. Mr. Alex said we can go riding again after breakfast, and there's a stream with fish we can see. I glanced at Alex, raising an eyebrow. You've been planning the day without me? A hint of sheepishness crossed his usually composed features. I hope you don't mind. Lily was up early, and you seem to need the rest. Before I could respond, Mrs. Reynolds appeared with fresh coffee and pastries. As I took my first sip, I noticed a man in a dark suit approaching across the lawn. Alex tensed almost imperceptibly, excusing himself from the table. I watched through the window as he spoke with the man, their conversation brief but intense. Alex's expression darkened, and he glanced back toward the house, toward us, before nodding sharply and dismissing the man with a gesture. When he returned to the terrace, his face was carefully neutral. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Just business," he replied smoothly, though I didn't miss the tension in his shoulders. "Nothing that can't wait until Monday." After breakfast, Miguel brought Snowdrop for Lily's promised ride, along with a larger chestnut mare for Alex. I declined to ride, preferring to walk alongside them as Alex led us along a path that wound through immaculate gardens toward a wooded area at the edge of the property. Watching him with Lily, I saw yet another side of this complex man. He was patient, attentive. His usual intensity softened as he taught her how to hold the reins properly, how to give gentle commands to her pony. Lily, normally shy with new adults, blossomed under his attention. "She's a natural," Alex said, smiling as Lily urged Snowdrop to trot ahead of us on the path, fearless. "Like her mother," I teased, thinking of his words from the night before. His dark eyes warmed. "Exactly like her mother." We fell into step together, close enough that our hands occasionally brushed, sending unexpected sparks across my skin. The day was perfect. Crisp autumn air, leaves turning gold and crimson, sunlight filtering through the trees. For a few precious hours, I allowed myself to forget about Jason, about the complications of Alex's world, about the decision looming before me. We stopped at a picture-perfect stream, where Lily delightedly spotted small fish darting among the rocks. While she was occupied, Alex drew me slightly aside. "There's been a development," he said quietly, his expression serious. "Jason Mercer came back to your apartment building this morning." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "Security intercepted him. He was insistent, made threats, claimed he would go to the authorities, demand custody rights." Cold fear washed through me. He wouldn't get custody. He abandoned us. "No, he wouldn't," Alex agreed. "But he could make things difficult. Legal battles, even baseless ones, are expensive and draining." I watched Lily crouched by the stream, carefree and happy. "What did your security do?" "Nothing permanent," he said, correctly reading my concern. "They simply encouraged him to leave. But he'll be back, Emma. Men like Jason always come back when they think there's something to gain." I knew he was right. Jason had always been relentless when he wanted something, and now he'd convinced himself I had money, or access to it through Alex. "I need to protect her," I said, more to myself than to Alex. His hand found mine, warm and steady. "Let me help you. I can make him disappear from your lives permanently." The way he said it sent a chill through me. "Without hurting him? If that's what you want." I studied his face, finding no deception there. "What would you do?" "There are many ways to make a man like Jason Mercer lose interest," Alex said carefully. "Financial incentives, coupled with certain guarantees about the consequences of further contact." "Threats, you mean?" He didn't deny it. "Effective ones." I should have been appalled. Instead, I felt a terrible relief at the thought of Jason being permanently removed from our lives. What did that say about me? "I need to think," I said. Alex nodded, respecting my need for space. "Of course." The rest of the day passed in a strange limbo, the beauty of our surroundings and Lily's joy at odds with the tension humming beneath the surface. By the time we returned to the house for lunch, I'd made my decision. "I'll accept your help with Jason," I told Alex when we had a moment alone. "But I need to be clear about something. Lily and I can't stay here permanently, not yet. It's too soon, too fast." His face remained carefully neutral. "I understand. But," I continued, surprising myself, "we could visit, get to know each other better outside of this crisis, see where things lead." Something like hope flickered in his dark eyes. "I'd like that." The compromise seemed to satisfy us both. After lunch, Alex was called away for a business call, leaving Lily and me to explore the house further. We discovered a room filled with musical instruments, including a grand piano that Lily touched with reverent fingers. My mother was a pianist, Alex said from the doorway, startling us both. This was her favorite room. He crossed to the piano, running his hand along its polished surface. "Do you play, Lily?" She shook her head, eyes wide. "It's so big." He smiled, sitting on the bench. "Would you like me to teach you a simple song?" For the next hour, I watched as the dangerous, powerful man who had upended our lives taught my daughter Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, his large hands gentle as they guided her small ones across the keys. The scene was so unexpectedly tender, it made my throat tight with emotion. That evening, after Lily had been tucked into bed, Alex invited me to join him for a walk through the gardens, now illuminated by subtle landscape lighting. "I've made arrangements for Jason Mercer," he said, as we strolled along a stone path between sculpted hedges. I tensed. "What kind of arrangements?" "He's been offered a job opportunity in Seattle. A very lucrative one, contingent on his immediate relocation and his agreement to certain terms regarding contact with you and Lily." "And he accepted?" A grim smile touched Alex's lips. "Let's just say the alternatives I presented were less appealing. I should have felt relief. Instead, unease crawled up my spine." "You threatened him." "I made the consequences of his choices clear," Alex corrected. "He's taken the job. By this time tomorrow, he'll be on a plane to the West Coast with a very strong incentive to stay there. The problem that had been hanging over us for weeks had been solved with a single conversation. Just like that. The power Alex wielded was both comforting and terrifying. "Thank you," I said, genuinely grateful despite my misgivings. "Lily deserves to grow up without that shadow hanging over her." He stopped walking, turning to face me. In the moonlight, his features were softer, more vulnerable than I'd ever seen them. "Emma," he said, my name almost a caress on his lips. "I want you to understand something. What I feel for you and Lily, it's not charity or obligation or some misplaced attempt to redeem myself for failing to save Isabella." "Then what is it?" I asked softly. His hand came up to touch my face, just as it had in the library. "It's the first real connection I've felt in years. The first time I've wanted to let someone see beneath the armor I wear." The admission, so honest and unguarded, broke something open inside me. All the walls I'd built after Jason, all the defenses I'd maintained to protect myself and Lily, suddenly seemed fragile in the face of Alex's sincerity. "I'm afraid," I admitted. "Not of you, but of what you represent. Your world is so different from mine." "Is it?" He countered gently. "We both know what it means to lose family, to be forced to be strong when we'd rather break, to protect what matters at any cost. Put that way, the differences between us seemed less significant. We'd both been shaped by loss, by the fierce need to protect what remained. I can't promise you a normal life, Emma," he continued, "but I can promise that with me, you and Lily will never want for anything. Safety, security, respect." His thumb traced my cheekbone. "And if you'll let me, I'd like the chance to show you that there can be more between us than gratitude and obligation." In answer, I rose on my toes and pressed my lips to his. The kiss was tentative at first, a question rather than a demand. His hands came to rest lightly at my waist, steadying but not confining me, giving me the freedom to pull away if I chose. I didn't choose to pull away. Instead, I deepened the kiss, my arms winding around his neck as he drew me closer. In that moment, the complications of our situation faded away. He wasn't a dangerous, powerful man with a shadowy past, and I wasn't a struggling single mother who'd nearly lost everything. We were simply a man and a woman, finding unexpected connection in a moonlit garden. When we finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, his dark eyes searched mine. "Does that mean you'll consider my offer? Give us a chance?" I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. It means I already have. 6 months later, Lily and I moved into the mansion permanently. The transition was easier than I'd feared. Her new school was excellent, and she quickly made friends among the children of Alex's more legitimate business associates. I found purpose managing the charitable foundation Alex had established in his sister's name, helping families in situations similar to where Lily and I had been. As for Alex, he kept his promises. Under his protection, we wanted for nothing. More importantly, He proved to be a man of his word in other ways as well, patient with Lily, respectful of my independence, gradually opening his world to me without forcing me into the darker corners of it. Jason remained in Seattle, his new life apparently compelling enough to keep him from risking Alex's displeasure. Sometimes I wondered exactly what threat had been made to ensure his compliance. But I chose not to ask. Some things were better left unknown. On Lily's 7th birthday, Alex surprised her with adoption papers, asking her permission, not demanding or assuming, to legally become her father. Her joy, as she threw her arms around his neck, told us everything we needed to know. Later that night, as we stood on the terrace watching the stars, his arms wrapped around me from behind, he pressed a small velvet box into my hand. "I'm not asking because I need an answer," he murmured against my hair. "I'm asking because I want you to know that I choose you, Emma, not out of obligation or guilt or any sense of responsibility. I choose you because you've shown me what it means to love without conditions." I turned in his arms, looking up at the complex, dangerous, tender man who had rescued us that day on the street corner, the man who had seen value in a sick woman and a little girl selling her bicycle. "I choose you too," I whispered, taking the ring from its box and sliding it onto my finger, with my eyes open, "with all that you are." His smile, rare and genuine, lit his face as he bent to kiss me. Behind us, Lily's laughter floated through the open doors of the mansion that had become our sanctuary. Our home. The journey from that desperate street corner to this moment had been complicated, filled with fears and doubts and difficult choices. But as Alex's arms tightened around me, I knew with absolute certainty that I'd made the right one. Sometimes salvation comes from unexpected places. Sometimes the most dangerous hands are also the ones most capable of holding you safely. And sometimes, the happy ending you never dared to dream of finds you exactly when you need it most.